right. Well, welcome back, everyone, to another Now at Night podcast episode here with Naser. I'm really excited once again to be on another episode with our very, very fun and geeky guest, I might add. Naser, it's really good to be back on a podcast with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Chris?
I'm fantastic. I'm looking forward to filling my belly with a lot of turkey and ham and all kinds of Thanksgiving meals. Feeling really good. Got a lot of
Yeah, once
space. Wearing my sweatpants, so I'm ready. How about you?
honestly, exact same boat. Very excited. Thanksgiving happens to be one of my favorite holidays just because of the food. So
Yes.
very excited for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on that excitement, I'm very excited to introduce our next guest here, Kyle Burns. And before we get into, the story of Kyle Burns and who he is and what he brings in terms of the flavors to the digital spaces and places he's been inspiring us, especially on LinkedIn. Kyle Burns is a very interesting story, and we're really excited to have him on. Not only does he have the CSA and certified as an architect in many different implementation services in the ServiceNow realm, but he's also an AI enthusiast. And I think that's going to be most likely a good topic of discussion for us to be going through around some other areas and projects that he's been really facilitating and driving in the space. So with that, Kyle, let's go ahead and introduce you and take it away.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Chris. So Kyle Burns. I have been working in IT for about 11 years at this point. The last 3 of those years have been in the ServiceNow space, really kind of covering all areas of management for the organization that I work for, from business analyst to developer to architecting solutions for the organization. And yeah, that's kind of how I found my way into ServiceNow, and where I've been for the past couple of years.
That's awesome. So did you happen to know ServiceNow before you kind of took initiative to do it for work? Or was it one of those things where they suddenly one day came to you and were like, hey, we're buying this new product. How about you learn it and be the administrator of it?
So I had used it as a customer at my previous organization. So
Mhm.
I was familiar with the tool, and got a little bit of hands-on with kind of catalog management type stuff,
Nice.
working with the ServiceNow development and admin teams where I was there. And then a previous coworker came to me and was like, "Hey, we need some help over here where I am with ServiceNow. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Sure, let's go for it." So that was kind of my. I just kind of went headfirst into it and was
Nice.
sort of learn on the job type experience.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love that, Kyle. I think that's how a lot of our customers, clients, and friends and colleagues learn ServiceNow as well. They sometimes just get tossed right into it. I'm always
Yeah.
curious, what was life before ServiceNow? Were you doing anything before scripting, developing, architecting, and solving all the world problems? I was always curious, what was that before you got into the ServiceNow realm?
Sure, yeah. So I started my IT career kind of in a like desktop support role, just interfacing with customers and fixing their hardware, software issues. I
Yep.
did that for like 4 or 5 years, and then got into more of the like client or desktop engineering side of things, where I was patching devices, deciding on which hardware we're going to roll out, deploying software. Rolled out a couple security tools that I'm sure you guys would be fans of.
Yeah.
I think we rolled out we had a big carbon black rollout project, and then we also did what's the name of the thing now? It's slipping my mind, but it was uh like an admin credential management solution. And yeah, so just kind of touching everything from a end user device perspective. Got into mobile device management a little bit as well with like iOS and Android devices too. So
Oh, that's pretty cool. So, fun question here for you. Do you feel
yeah.
like any of those things that you were in charge of before knowing ServiceNow would have been easier with ServiceNow,
Oh, good
or
question.
it wouldn't have really mattered much? And please be honest, this is just a question that I thought of.
I think the one thing that I really would have liked to have during the time when I was working in that area was some of the integration stuff for, like, say a user submits a request for a piece of software, having sort of that automation piece on the back end of just going out and actually deploying the software based on that catalog request, like that kind of stuff, I think would have been huge. Would have saved me and our help desk a lot of time of just, remoting into a machine, installing software, things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that might have been helpful.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out, especially when we think about what we could have had back. I always say this. I think I said this on a couple of calls last week, Kyle. I think I would have been a CEO had I had the tools I had now, right? We've got
Yeah.
AI, right? Agentic AI, workflow data fabric. AI is everywhere. And I think that was one of the topics I was really keen and curious about. I've seen in your posts, you've got your own website. I'm really curious, snaudiodocs.com, correct? I just want to make sure we plug that in there. Yeah,
Yeah, sure,
absolutely. That's the URL. Really, really fascinating, and would love to just transition the discussion around more of the professional portfolio you've started to envision and now really iterate in the space of ServiceNow using our knowledge-based documents. So I was curious if you could just speak to that. What inspired you? What drove you to decide, hey, I'm going to go build this really cool geeky thing? And now it's become something where we've got a lot of folks using it as a very helpful resource. So would love for you to speak to that again. What inspired you? What drove you to decide to build it? And maybe some teasers or trailers for us out there if there's any upcoming enhancements. Would love to hear about it.
Sure. So really what got me started and kind of interested in the AI space was, I think we all saw ChatGPT, it seems like it was forever ago, but I think it was honestly less than 2 years ago when it kind of blew up. I saw that and I was like, wow, what have I been missing out on? And specifically around the audio docs site. Yeah, a lot of times I'll just be, sitting there either waiting on my next meeting or, working on something that doesn't require a lot of focus. And I'm like, man, I really wish I could, be kind of multitasking here. And I got to thinking like, oh, I don't necessarily have a lot of time to read through all the documentation on, every new product or every, release that we roll out. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe I can use AI to help me out with that. And one day I was just browsing LinkedIn and I saw someone had posted a link to Google's Notebook LM tool. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yes.
But I saw that and I started poking around it and I was like, wow, you can put some really big files in this thing. So I exported a couple of the like 2,000 page PDF files from the doc site and dropped them in and was just trying to see what would come out. And I was really surprised by the results. I did not think it would be that good. And so, yeah, I started, finding some of the docs that I initially wanted to understand a little bit more about and didn't necessarily have the time to read through entirely. And turning those into the podcasts using the Notebook LM tool.
Nice. And is this only for documentations on ServiceNow, or did you open it up to other websites as well?
Currently, I am just using, currently the site that I have, the SN Audio Docs site, is specifically around ServiceNow documentation. I have been toying with potentially automating some of this. There's a few open source solutions out there now that are meant to mimic Google's Notebook LM. And nice. So if you can imagine being able to automatically pull in, say we have a front end user goes and picks the doc that they want to, or the product from ServiceNow that they want to learn more about. They select the product, the tool goes out, grabs the doc, and then automatically feeds it into another tool that turns it into a podcast and then either presents it back to the user or sends them an email with the file, something along those lines. I've started to dig into that a little bit, and
Wow, that's
hoping that
fascinating.
I can bring that to fruition, because I feel like it would be helpful for a lot of people.
No, absolutely. That sounds amazing. I wish if I had that back when I was in school.
Yeah.
Literally, I think that would be such a game changer. And honestly, it could have a global impact when you think about it from right, an accessibility perspective. If someone can't read, but if they can listen to it from the audio perspective, right? I think that's a huge win. Thinking about it from that lens, and also just being able to have that capability on the go, right? Because we're
Right.
constantly in go mode, right? Kyle, we're trying to code, develop script, and then have a family and a life and friends. So having those audio files that are pre-recorded, digitized for the content that you have prescriptively gone out, right, and automated to then pull and ingest that information, I think that's digital transformation, right? That's something that we've envisioned. So really impressive, and kudos to you for building that. I just wanted to make sure we called that out. SNaudiobooks.com, SNAudiodocs, right? .com is the website.
Yep.
Yeah,
sure.
and just a phenomenal site, and we're looking forward to seeing how that evolves and matures over time. I think the automated component would be extremely helpful. So if you ever need to piggyback on some of us, let us know. We're happy to be some guinea pigs or testers.
Sounds great. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll let you know.
very cool.
So,
Yeah,
oh,
go ahead, Nasser, please.
no, I was just going to ask just one open-ended question about AI.
Yeah.
So it feels like we are now living in a world where literally every, I want to say, hour, there is some new development in AI and some new product that's being pitched about AI, or an old legacy product that's now adopting AI. So out of everything that's happening or about to happen, what excites you most about the developments in AI?
Oh, that is a tough one.
Good question.
I think I think the giving the ability for anyone to dream up a solution and be able to build it without having, you know, years of software development experience, I think is probably the thing that I'm looking forward to the most.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. I have I have a JavaScript background. I know some Python. I know a little bit of shell scripting and things like that. But I my original career was not in software development, and so having these tools, you know, to be able to sort of leverage the ideas that I have, and then
Mhm.
be able to actually build them and see them come to life. I think for me personally, and I think for a lot of people out there, I think it's going to be huge. I'll give you another example. Yesterday, I was trying to think of more ideas of things I could build, and there's several tools out there that will build essentially like a good starter base for really any kind of application that you want to build. And so I was
Mhm.
like, I was thinking, and I came up with an idea for building a generative AI cocktail or mocktail, depending on whether you drink alcohol or not. Basically, it generates cocktails or mocktails, and presents you with a recipe and then also an image of what that cocktail might look like. And I built this in about 2 hours with the help of
Wow,
AI.
that's awesome.
And so, yeah, I'm planning to share that later today. But
Yes,
I think
please.
something like that, that would have taken me probably a week, if not longer, in the past to build, and to be able to build it in just a couple hours in the evening while I was bored, I think that's gonna think that's gonna open up a lot of possibilities for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great question, Nasser, and I really appreciate you, Kyle, going through that, inspiration as well as some of the different ideations you're actually going to bring to life. I think that's what it's all about. It's bringing these different AI use cases to life. Still has a human element and aspect to it, right? You still have to have a human doing the programming and the developing, right? The shaping and making sure it shifts the right way. But just how
Yep.
quickly now, just the acceleration of AI. I was actually reading an article earlier today around, NVIDIA's newest. I think they have a new generative AI model. I don't know if Kyle or Nasser, if you've heard of the new one, Fugato, and it's the foundational generative audio transformer. So it's this brand new AI model that's essentially doing, Kyle, what you're doing. It's taking the commands from text prompts and then creating audio files, but doing it at mass scale, right? For music and voice and sound files on the go, multi-accent, multilingual. So the applications to me, I think, are limitless.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Kyle, what you're doing helps pave the way, as a pioneer in the AI space for others. And it'd be really cool. My idea is be great to just be going into these AI controllers, right? And just say, maybe have it suggest an application like, hey, do you want to build something that's in your industry? So if I'm in the medical field, maybe I want to build an application that helps, notify people about their medicines quicker. Or perhaps if I'm in a specific field in energy and gas, I'd like to have an application that does some specific tasks, right? What that will help drive, right, that resiliency and also help, mitigate some mental health while we're at it, right? So I think there's a lot of applications, Kyle, that you mentioned that will help pave the way. But I think it's important to do what you're doing now is publishing it, putting it out there, right, in the wild, in the space, so that the community can come together and we can start to cross-pollinate even better solutions that could, again, globally impact the way we work with technology. So kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just want to share and demonstrate that you don't have to be, someone with years of software development experience to build these days.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Almost anyone can do it with plain language and a couple tools. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, great call out.
Which also brings out an issue that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, which is, yes, AI is great, but what are some of the, I want to say, drawbacks of AI? What are the things that AI might be actually not our best friend in?
Yeah, that's that's the big debate, right? I think there's a lot of concern in the artist world. People spending hours or dozens of hours, drawing or painting or creating a 3D model or whatever the case is. I think a lot of those people are highly concerned that their jobs and their careers are in danger. And I think that's certainly an understandable concern. I think that in the art space, I think things are rapidly evolving at a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a quick pace. And, I totally understand where they're coming from. I don't have the, I don't have the answers to,
Yeah.
their concerns. I think that we all just need to remember that we should use these things as tools and not replacements for people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's well said. That's a good call out, Kyle. And just a good reminder for everyone, right? These are certainly things that we can leverage that can create some extensible use cases for some really life altering, incentives for all of us. But at the same time, right, there are some unknowns still, right? There are a lot of unknowns, threat actors that want to weaponize what AI can do. And of course, then go against what it can't do, right? So I think that's always going to be something that we always have to be cognizant of and just very self-aware. The more we use this technology, we have to be very tactical and purposeful. If we're not doing that, then it's just like recycling garbage, and we know what happens when we do that. So I think it's really important for us to make sure that we have that same mindset, and it's really important that you're continuing to, again, iterate the ease and the flexibility of these AI use cases, but still having fun, right? That we can still create a good formula here, and we need to make sure that we're starting those conversations, through that empathy and through the experience that we all share, right? Through the knowledge, right? That's what we call them knowledge-based articles.
Amen.
So that actually leads me to a question for you guys.
Please.
So you're just talking about threat actors, and what I know you guys you're both in the security space, right?
Correct.
We are.
Yeah. So what kinds of things are you guys seeing out there that that people might be concerned with in the security space regarding AI?
Oh,
Nasser, do you want to take that one?
that's a very interesting question.
If you don't have an
Um,
answer, that's
I
all right. I just
I can kick off, but feel
no,
free.
I
This is a free for all.
absolutely. So one of the things I feel like a lot of people are concerned about is that when you are a human who is potentially defending itself against an attack that's coming from an AI, that is a bit of an unfair situation just because AIs have the capability of developing and learning from mistakes at a much higher rate than humans are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
I want to say fine line is knowing when to use AI in security. So rather than relying on a human
Right.
fighting AI, you also want to use AI to fight AI. And the same thing happens, I want to say balance is really the key here. You want to know when to leverage your AI in a defensive manner and when to use your analyst in a defensive manner as well. Not to plug in ServiceNow or anything. That's why I like our AI capabilities within security operations because it really distributes the works amongst AI versus the human in a great way, where the mundane tasks are being handled by AI versus the tasks that are actual, like cumbersome or require someone who goes in and investigate themselves is being done by human. And I think that's a great start for where AI is at now. Um, I don't know what is being developed out there when it comes to AI and the different threats that it's generating, but it's definitely something that I am keeping an eye on and trying to kind of be up to date on what's happening in the world of AI and security, just so we know what
Yeah.
are the trends and how we can accommodate against them. Um,
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, well said. I mean, I'll honestly piggyback right off of that. I think to protect ourselves against these many different types of AI security risks that affect these different models and systems, we really have to think about where the risks are actually stemming from. And every business entity is going to be different, right, Kyle? Every risk, they're going to be risk
Yeah.
aware about different components of AI. And so AI has been around forever, right? Since the 50s and the
Yeah.
60s. Machine learning
Mhm.
has been here since the dawn of time. Now like you mentioned, we've accelerated it. Now it's a matter of mitigating and making sure we have identified those risks. The one I'm seeing most in the space from a lot of folks that I speak to publicly and professionally is, certainly data leakage and data poisoning from specific AI models, so corrupting that data and reusing it. But to Nasser's point, it's understanding the quality and the integrity of your data. And once you understand where the risky areas live and breathe, you're able to then prioritize and isolate those crown jewels. That way, you're able to then say, if this AI model needs to be protected by these very specific governed policies, think of MITRE. They're certainly working on the Atlas component for AI mitigation and mapping all the different types of AI components. So that way, we're helping not just the reconnaissance effort, but also making sure we can mitigate, remediate, and detect those preventative measures against AI weaponization. So, to answer your question, I think that's going to be the biggest one that we'll see in next year. And I'm sure there'll be several others after we hang up this call, right, that they'll come up with tomorrow or on, these different social media sites. So
Yeah.
I think we just need to be very vigilant. But we're certainly looking into the space like everyone else is. But understanding that there are different types of risks that affect these AI systems is priority number one. Know where your data lives and breathes,
Yeah.
because then you're able to understand how you model that data, just like you're doing now, Kyle, how you're building these different methodologies using AI. The process. So it's now identifying how you securely scope that process end
Sure.
to end. So, yeah, so a really good question. I think you might be the first one to actually ask us a question, maybe, right,
Yeah,
Nasser?
I
Which I
like
love. So I
that.
love this. It's organic, it's raw. We just keep it very unfiltered here. It's now at night, and it's definitely nighttime on the East Coast for me, at least. I think it might be a good time to ask maybe some of the fun questions, Nasser, if you wanted to kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll remember the one that we keep asking every guest at this point
Yeah.
is, what's your favorite movie? This can be regular movie, animated movie. You can give us regular and animated. Let me just start here with a quick, I don't know what to call it really, shout out, but I just saw Wicked on the weekend,
Oh, how
and
Oh,
was it?
man, that movie was amazing.
Okay, that's what I heard.
Production, cast, everything
Yeah,
was perfect.
that's what I
So,
heard.
Yeah, if someone were to ask me right now, I'll definitely say Wicked is my favorite movie at the second. But how about you, Kyle? Well, what kind of movie would you say is your favorite, or what movie would you say is your favorite?
Before I answer that question, that you just confirmed my decision while we were having this recording here. My girlfriend, I saw a message from her that asked if I wanted to go see it. So I guess the answer is yes.
There you go.
Definitely.
Look at that. We talk about technology and we
yeah.
make dates happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I would say maybe it's not one that everyone would appreciate, but I really like the movie Happy Gilmore.
Oh
The
no,
the
I
seen
love
it.
that. That's classic. Oh,
Oh,
you haven't seen
you
it now,
have to
sir?
watch it.
No.
Oh, we're gonna have to have a watch party.
Oh, adding that to the
It's a
list right now.
yeah, it's an older Adam Sandler movie. It's great.
Very
Nice.
funny. Oh, I love that. That's really good for some comedic relief for those out there. Happy Gilmore, add that to your list for sure. Classic. Billy Madison is another great one. That's
Yeah,
probably on my list
absolutely.
as well. I love
I
this
actually,
one scene.
I was just gonna say that I just watched Good Will Hunting for the first time like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
And
nice.
that movie was amazing.
Whew,
It is.
that is
Yeah, that
definitely
movie is incredible.
powerful movie, no
I did
doubt.
not expect to cry.
Yeah, no one expects it. Even
No
if you
shame,
watch
no
it
shame in it.
17.
It's all right.
No shame at all. No shame. I think it's amazing that you'll watch it over and over again, and I think it gets even better and better. It's just
That's
so
what I heard, yeah.
it's a powerful movie. So that's awesome that you got to see that. Fantastic. So I appreciate you sharing your favorite movie. Now,
Yeah.
I've got a question around, and this is another fun question we always ask. I'm sure a lot of people have asked this question, right? Back in, middle school, high school, this question gets asked all the time, right? You're stuck on an island. What's that one favorite food that you must have on this island? Just whatever it is, even if it's not to survive, just what's that one favorite food that you would like to have if you're stuck on this island?
Oh boy. Wow. I am going to say any type of curry. I think that's probably my favorite.
Good
Ooh,
answer, good answer.
very
answer.
good answer. That's away from the common answers of like pizza, cookies, right? Doritos. This is a good answer. Curry. Any
Yeah,
particular favorite curry dish?
yeah,
Just out
so
of
I,
curiosity.
I I don't eat meat, so my favorite is probably chana masala. I know it's not technically a
Ooh,
curry, but in that realm.
nice. Excellent. Making me hungry now. Literally. Nasser, do we have any other fun questions for our host here, Kyle?
Not that I can think of. Let's see. Do you have any pets?
Oh, that's a good
I do.
question. That was the other
I do
question, though.
actually.
Oh,
I actually have a somewhat unique pet. We
please.
have 3 rabbits.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I need the
Yeah.
names, please.
Yes, please.
So the names are Poppy, Chia, and Fish. Fish was named by the rescue that we got him from, so his name is different from the others,
Oh.
kind of in a different category.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're great. Everyone is surprised when they come to our house and see that there's just rabbits in
Just
our
running around.
Are they
yeah,
free
yeah.
roaming?
So one of them is sort of confined. He confined himself because he doesn't like to walk on smooth flooring, so he's confined to a giant rug in our living room. The other 2 are a little bit too destructive to be completely free roaming, so they are in a very large pen.
Fair,
But yeah,
very fair. Yeah, actually, growing up, I did have 2 rabbits that when I got them, I was pretty young, but everyone told me, oh, they're only gonna live for like a year, 2 years, blah blah
oh
blah. I
no,
was really sad. They were with me for 8 years.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
They were amazing. I loved having rabbits.
Oh,
Ours are
that's awesome.
right about that age right now and still going strong. So hoping I got a couple more
Knock on
years
wood,
out of them.
knock
Yep.
on wood.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. Oh, that is so fun. I love the names too. Was it Poppy, Chia, and Fish?
Yes. Correct.
Oh,
Yep.
fantastic. Those are fantastic names. I love it. Well, Kyle, I just want to thank you again and over again. thank you so much for everything you've done on this podcast, just giving us some insight onto who you are and what's really been driving you in the technology space, sharing some of your personal life as well. Just really cool to hear about these rabbits. And your favorite movie is definitely a movie that a lot of folks, I'm sure, know. I'm excited to hear Naser's review. Hopefully that'll be on the next episode so we can see what that looks like. Enjoy the Wicked movie. I'm certainly definitely next on the list to see that because I've heard nothing but fantastic things on that. But I really just wanted to thank you again for what you do in the space. Thank you so much for humbling us and just again being a part of this discussion. And I'll pass it to Naser just for some closing remarks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kyle. It was a pleasure honestly meeting you, and thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest on our podcast. And I'm definitely going to be listening to yours after this. So happy to have
All
met
right.
you.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris and Naser. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
We'll see everyone next time. Thanks for joining the Now at Night podcast.